it has become tradition for us to have a remembering moment, a remembering event, an event where we get a chance to put some friends up here and tell some stories and have a little fun, and all of us kind of together maybe laugh a little bit, cry a little bit less, but hopefully laugh a little bit more, and remember the individual we lost in the best way we possibly can, which is with the people that knew that man the best. And not only is that you out there who've sailed with us so many times, and many of you know him obviously throughout the years, whether it was radio or TV or on down the road. Some of you, I know we got a lot of Philly folks in the room that, yeah. That you know him better than the rest of us in a lot of ways. You spent just about every day with him in some regard. But we also are going to put some folks up here who've spent decades getting to know the man in the actual entertainment industry and have some fantastic stories about him. But before we do, I'm going to bring out someone who's very important to us. She is a producer and creator. She is a brilliant mind, and she's helps us do all of these. She's worked extensively with Mr. Blavat, and she's here with us today. Miss Carolyn Travis. Come on out, Carolyn.
Boy, that's going to be hard to live up to.
Yeah. Please, by all means.
You know, I knew Jerry for 20 years, and for 20 years, whatever I asked him, he said what every woman wants to hear, whatever you want. What I really would like is for him to be on the stage today, but, you know, I have a feeling he's up here somewhere, because somewhere in my ear I keep hearing, it's in the book.
Every hallway I walk down, I hear my man.
Exactly.
I think all of you, and I think we said it the other day, I think everyone's heard Pretty Lady. You know, there's so many Jerryisms, as I refer to them, that will forever live with us. And it is a sad day, but to your point, yeah. I do think that Jerry wants a celebration as much as anybody.
Well, you know, Jerry wasn't happy until everybody in the room was happy.
Yeah.
So, you know, that's why we're all here, to try to have some fun, try to remember, do what he would wanted us to do.
Absolutely. And you put together a fantastic tribute. Tell us a little bit about what we're going to see.
Well, you know, if you did Jerry's whole career, we could be here for 3 days. So I just did some highlights, and I think some of you are going to recognize yourselves in there. And, you know, a lot of Jerryisms, like you said. So I don't want to give too much away ahead of time. So shall we watch it?
Let's watch the video. All right, Carol, look over here.
The gator with the heater being all the record. A pleater sang, oh, wop, 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 and she bow. In 1953, when I snuck into a TV show called Bandstand, I won the Jitterbug contest. And because of that, I became like very popular. So the host of that show, Bob Horn, said, you know, Jerry Blavat, how old are you? So I lied, I said, I'm 14. He said, are you sure? I said, well, I'm 13. He said, well, you know, you have to be 14. He said, well, we'll let you slide, because he said, you win the dance contest, and he said, you're the most popular kid here, you're getting all the fan mail.
And what do you do, sir?
Gator with the heater.
This man is probably the most prominent young people's disc jockey in the city of Philadelphia and Camden, New Jersey.
When I began, format radio was just coming in, but I was on a little station almost like the black stations, WHAT, WDAS.
Big balls with the big consoles, Jerry Blavat has saying greetings and salutations to the entire team population of this half fabulous nation, and so many times on our nighttime show. All you have to do is count on four. Yeah, baby, that's the discophonic ball. Let's go. Something, you're really a terrific TV audience. I mean that sincerely. Let's give them a big hand over here for these people.
Ah, Miss Jones, you've snapped my mind. I love you, darling. Look what I brought for you, flowers.
I think he's kind of cute.
You would.
I've loved you from the first moment I saw you.
Oh, Mr. Blavat, you're too kind.
No, don't call me Mr. Blavat. Call me the Gator. Jerry to you. Still continue with the dances. Still continue dances in Wildwood with 2,000 to 3,000 kids.
If you hire Jerry Blavat, you know that 500, 600, 700 people are going to show up. and some people I see from high school, you know, and, you know, that don't have any hair anymore. And they're out there dancing.
If you know that dance, and if you remember the Shea Move, then you remember this one. The Shea Walk. This goes back to a place at 69th and Market in Philadelphia. This was the beginning, 1963. They do it now. Those kids that danced with me back in the early 60s still dance with me today. Back then I called them young teenagers. Today, I call them beyond teenagers. Go ahead. How do you do? Don't be ashamed. Mention the Gator's name at Memories in Margate. It will cost you $1, but you never holler, because you get some liquor for your ticker and a toddy for your body.
Jerry's one of a kind. I mean, he has a following for almost 50 years now. He knows music, he relates to the music, he loves the music, and he still presents it and gives it to the people who really still want to hear it.
Jerry was one of the first disc jockeys to start playing black records. And he didn't play them just because they were black. He played them because they were great records.
Jerry, I've known Jerry, that's not just a Jerry Blavat to me, he's my friend. We're intimate friends. In fact, he always says, we're brothers from another mother. He always says that.
This is a very special show. Pete, if you're ready. Well, put your hands together. Right. Put it together. Put it together. Well, yeah, yeah, yeah. Hey now, hey now, hey now, hey now. It's finger popping time. Finger popping time. I feel so good, and that's a heck of a sign. Get the beat. Here comes Mary, here comes Frank, here comes little Anthony on the track. Oh yeah, they're all here tonight. Gary be here, they're all here. Darlene, everybody here. The folks are here. It's finger popping time. The memory that I will always have in my heart of the happiness that you have shared with the artist will last me a lifetime. And that's why these cruises are so very special.
You were the first person I called about this cruise, Jerry, if you remember correctly. And you said to me, you can't go back and live in the past, but it sure is fun to go visit it. And that's what this is, a week of visiting that time period and that past in American musical history.
Old man rhythm is in my shoes. It's no use to sitting and singing the blues. So be my guest, you've got nothing to lose. Won't you let me take you on a sea cruise? Ooh-wee, baby. Ooh-wee, baby. Ooh-wee, baby. Won't you let me take you on a sea cruise?
Because I am the rebel jock that rocks. The big tick-tock on the Tower Power Clock, reaching out to South Philadelphia, reaching out to Wildwood, New Jersey, reaching out to Atlantic City, reaching out to Baltimore, Delaware, reaching out to each and every one of you out there listening to the Gator with a Heater.
Somewhere above, there is a heaven. Somewhere above, there is a star. I believe for every drop of rain that falls,
a flower grows, a flower grows. I believe that somewhere in the darkest night, a candle glows, a candle glows. I believe for everyone who goes astray, someone will come to show the way. I believe, oh, I believe above the storm, the smallest prayer can still be heard, can still be heard. I believe that someone in the great somewhere hears every word, hears every word. Every time I hear a newborn baby cry, or touch a leaf, or see the sky, then I know I believe. I know that one time or another, we've all lost someone very near and very dear. A flower grows, I believe. But there's no cause to fear, because someone up above, a candle glows, watching over him and watching over every one of us. A candle glows. Every time I hear a newborn baby cry, or touch a leaf, or see the sky, then I know I believe. Somewhere above, there is a heaven. Somewhere above, there is a star.
Ladies and gentlemen, let's hear it for sound. Guys, come on down. Come on down. Let's hear it for Sounds of the Street. Thank you very much. Thank you, gentlemen. Thank you very much. Very touching, beautifully done. Very touching. Fantastic. Thank you very much. Well, if you weren't emotional then, I don't know if you're capable of it. Carolyn and I, we scooted back a little bit. We can probably bring ourselves forward. But we wanted to bring out to the stage 4 folks who also knew Jerry exceptionally well. And in my case, much better. I know Carolyn has been with Jerry for over 20 years. We have 4 folks we want to put out here. They want to tell some stories. We want to have some fun. As much as this is a remembrance and a memorial to a certain extent, it's also a celebration. I do want to keep that in mind. So some stories I'm sure will be sad, but I'm very sure some of these will be funny, because if they're stories of the Geeter, there's some comedy involved. I'd like to bring out first the man who built this entire operation. He is our executive producer. He created the whole thing, Mr. Alan Rubens. Yeah, fair enough. We'd like to welcome out another gentleman who is exceptionally important to us. He's been with us for years and years here on this cruise, but he's also obviously a massive part of this music and this era and this history, Mr. Jay Siegel. Come on out, Jay. You have not seen him perform yet, but we're going to get him out here. He is a man, he is a myth, he is a legend. He is the one and only Little Anthony. Let's get Little Anthony out here. And last but most certainly not least, we need a rose for all of these thorns. I typically go ladies first, but when you're the queen, you get to come last. Ms. Darlene Love, please join us, my dear. Now, Carolyn, you've known these fine folks over here for quite a while. What's it like seeing this collection of humanity on stage over here?
I feel like I'm reliving the very best parts of my childhood here. Yeah, I love all of you. You're all in my jukebox. It's incredible.
We are honored to have you guys with us. And today, really, as all of you know, we've talked a little bit about it. Today's about Jerry. We just want to tell some stories, have some fun. You four especially have such a phenomenal history with Jerry. All of you have known him for years and years and have unique connections to him. And Alan, I'm going to start with you, if you don't mind, because you tell the most... You tell one of the best stories because it relates directly to this cruise, and you mentioned it the other night on stage, but tell us again, when the idea for this cruise popped up.
Well, in 2008, our company was Time Life, and we sold CDs and DVDs. And we weren't selling as many CDs and DVDs as we had for many years. And we wanted to go into a new direction with our business. And to make it humorous, we had this off-site in Eastern Maryland. And the chairman of the company had us there and took of the six, they thought the six brightest minds, why he included me, I don't know, but he said, and we're not leaving here, and this is in November with Eastern Maryland, the place is closed, there's nowhere to go, there's like one restaurant. We're not leaving here till we come up with an idea for our business. Tomorrow morning, we got there on a Friday, so we're going to meet at 9 o'clock, and we're going to start and stay in here until it happens. At 9 o'clock next morning, I said, we're going into the theme music cruise business. I'm out of here. We're going. And we decided to do this, and the first idea was Malt Shop. And the first phone call I made before any act, before anybody, was I called Jerry Blavat. Now, I had grown up listening to Jerry on the radio. I really didn't know him. We knew each other because I was in the record business. And I called him, and I said, what do you think? And he said, oh, I'm in. Let's do it. This is phenomenal. Great idea. And I went and I took some people early who were going to work on the cruise with me, Janine and a few people, to Memories. And I took them to a place in Northeast Philly where Jerry had done one of his kind of sock hops. And I said, we're going to bring this and put it on a cruise ship. And we're going to make it Disney World for adults around the time period and the music. And that was the concept. And Jerry said to me, oh, Disneyland, I'm in, let's do it. And that's how it came to be. And every year, Jerry and I would sit and talk what artists are still around, who artists are still doing good. And Jerry loved this music and loved these artists like more than anybody could.
Jay, show him how to use a microphone. He just keeps getting farther away from it.
Jerry loved these artists, loved this music, and this was a special week for him. He was as excited and as enthusiastic more than any passenger on the boat. We would go out to dinner 4 or 5 times in the month leading up to it, and he just couldn't stop. Oh, I can't wait. I'm going to see so-and-so. And it was just wonderful, and it was the most wonderful feeling I had to build this cruise for 13 years or 12 years with Jerry and to share the time while you're playing and to share this week with him. It's just absolutely wonderful.
Little Anthony, I'm going to jump to you. I know. Well, it's because you poo-pooed us. That's why you got to go first. Tell us about your history with Mr. Blavat.
Oh, boy.
Tell us what you can tell us about your history with Mr. Blavat.
Well, it's very... I thought about this last night. You know, we're talking, and I said, I don't want to get into this kind of deep sort of thing, because remembering him as a friend, you see, actually, Jerry and I were very, very close friends. We talked often on the phone. We talked about groups in life, or what I thought that he thought might be somebody be really cool that's around. So our relationship was very, very different. My wife is here, she would tell you. We do Zoom
all kind of crazy crap. And Jerry loved humor, and he knew that I loved it, and I came up with some of the best in the business that sort of what my mentors and taught me, comedy timing and all of those sticks that we do. And Jerry was very good at that. And I never looked at Jerry as a straight man. It was just like two cats that actually were talking. I know I bet JC used to watch us going, what did they do? What? And we were just holding conversation when we would do these. And we'd talk about things and we would go back and forth. And there was another gentleman who I miss so much and was a friend for many years, and Bobby Rydell. And Bobby, Jerry and I, we were a little weird, you know. Sometimes I wonder, I said, I wonder if Alan's going to go for this stuff, man. But we did it all spontaneously because we knew each other. We knew each other in Philly. I met Jerry when he used to be with Sammy Davis. He was very young. And I didn't know, nothing. But his biggest, the person that he admired the most was Jocko Henderson. And everything about Jocko he loved. And he kind of embraced it and then made it his own. You know, and I never said anything to him like, hey man, that's Jocko stuff, man. You can't be doing that. But I knew in his heart, he was so in love with the man and what he was doing, he wanted to keep that going. And he did. He actually did. So when we would do things that, actually, you would see us backstage, we'd be ribbing each other backstage before we even got out here. And that's the kind of relationship. He was my friend. He wasn't just a person in the business. We came up in the business together. And we knew every artist, and we talked about this constantly. And I'm doing everything I can, ladies and gentlemen, to keep him starting to get a little teary, because this was my friend. And he often would say, we got a mother, I'm your brother from another mother. And he'd always do this, and he'd get on my nerves sometimes. I run into him in the elevator. He said, man, my man.
Pots and pans.
I said, you say that word one time, and I'm not your man, I'm going to beat the living hell out of you. So this is the kind of relationship we had. And it was very deep for me when I said, I got to get on this tour. I got to be on this ship. Yeah. But for reasons that are Jerry, even now I could just sense him, what he would do, watching his eyes, see what he would say, and then we'd pick up on each other, and it was cool. So I don't just say no more except that he loved to be celebrated, and he didn't want all of us to go crying and falling and wailing. And no, that's not the man. The guy loved life. He wasn't fooling around, ladies and gentlemen. He was real. Anybody can go from one part of the ship to the other part of the ship constantly. He got to be real. Because he loved it. I did everything I could last night, and I wanted to go up and just try to be him and say, hey, ho, come on, hey, you do it,
just all non sequiturs.
Jason knows. And he loved you, man. And he often talked about you, and it was almost like he was like tutoring him, to go on and keep going. So that's enough for me. I ain't saying no more. Hey, Jerry, I did my deal.
Jay, tell us a little bit about your history with Jerry.
Well, I met Jerry, I guess it was back in late 1960 or 61. We had this new record that we just had produced, and we wrote this song called Tonight I Fell in Love. And we had a promotion guy. That's a promotion man for a record company. They would bring all new product to the program directors of all the radio stations, trying to get these stations to play these records to make a hit. One of the most important stations was in Philadelphia, Wibbage. WIBG. I don't know if you know. It was like if you're in New York, it was like WABC or WLS in Chicago or KFWB and all. If you got your record played on Wibbage, WIBG in Philadelphia, you know that's destined to be a hit record. So that's the first time we met Jerry. We went up to the station, and he just loved this record. He loved the B-side of the record. The thing about Jerry is he was like just like you guys. He was the greatest fan in the world. He knew more about when we used to meet years later, he knew more. But I said, how do you remember? I don't even remember these records that I made. But he knew the B-sides. He knew this. We used to do the show, and we would do this 50s oldies medley, and he would be standing in the wings with the biggest smile on his face, singing along every word. He was a great, great fan. One thing about Jerry is that the gift that he gave everybody and us is as soon as you said hello to him, you smiled. He just made you happy. He just made you happy. One thing I'll never forget, I don't know if if anybody is familiar with a venue called the Kimmel Center in Philadelphia. Well, if I know a lot of you live in different other places, but you can compare the Kimmel Center to Lincoln Center in New York or the Kennedy Center, a beautiful, beautiful venue. I know a few years ago, we did a show with, Jerry used to do a show at the Kimmel Center every year. And before he would announce the acts on the show, and he would have like 4, 5, 6 acts on the show, the place would sell out just because of his name. It was like we couldn't believe it. He didn't even announce the acts that were going to be on the show, and the people came to see him as well as he came to see the acts. And I'll always remember this, the last show we did at the Kimmel Center, well, when the one that we were on, Jerry had a bunch of health issues, and about 3 weeks before the show, he had open heart surgery. 3 weeks later, he was on the stage running around like a maniac. I said, you just had open heart surgery like 3 weeks ago, and he was he was like the bionic man, One thing, if there were 10 acts on the show, he had backstage 10 different pairs of shoes, 10 different suits, 10 different shirts. Every act that came out, he just changed his clothes. I don't know anybody who did. We didn't do that, We had one outfit. That was it, But I just want to tell Alan, you made the right call. Yeah, you made the right call.
The Queen gets to go last. Darlene Love, tell us a little about your history with Mr. Blavat.
As I was,
You're on. You're good.
as I was listening to everything everybody is saying, everybody up here, everybody, I thought about one thing about Jerry. When I think about Jerry, I don't be sad because he did not have a sad muscle, vein, anything in him that was sad. And to be around Jerry was always full of joy. And so when I think about him, and the last time I was with him, I just think about Jerry, and I think about happiness and wonderfulness and life, living life to the fullest. And that was Jerry, and I will always remember Jerry as that. And I don't even think of crying or being sad. Even when we were at his going away home service, I didn't think about being sad. I just think about the life that Jerry lived, and it was all about happiness. And if we could all get to that place, whoa, what a world we would have. And that was what I loved about Jerry. And I always thought about the first time I met him. Back in the 60s, we all entertainers did what we call disc jockey tours. We had to tour all the radio stations. That was it. That was our tour. And that was to get the disc jockeys to see who we were and to be around them, and they would play our records. And the first time I met Jerry, I didn't know who he was, and I had never been to Philadelphia during this time because, Phil Spector wouldn't let us go nowhere. It was all about his product. And the amazing part about it, the audience didn't know we were black. They thought we were white. The reason was, back in those days, they had two stations, a rhythm and blues station and a top 20 station. Rhythm and blues stations was all black music, all black music. And on the top 20 was all white. So I'm going, I don't know this Jerry Blavat, why are we going to? But Phil knew everybody. He knew. Well, so when I first met Jerry, it was like somebody I had known all my life. Because, you know, Jerry was the only disc jockey I had so much respect for because he played black artists more than he played white artists. And the thing was, they wanted to know why he was playing black artists so much. It's because, not because they were black, it was because of the music. And Jerry, if he could have been black, I think Jerry would have been black.
Absolutely.
But he couldn't be nothing but what he was.
Right.
And when I met him, I felt like I'd already knew him because he had been playing, come on, nobody on the black station was playing Do Run Run. Or He's a Rebel. You know, Pat Boone. That's who they played. And Jerry played all of our music, and I never forget that I had so much respect for him, not because we were black artists, but because we were black artists that made great music that Jerry loved. And the first time I was seeing Jerry was the greatest promoter on the planet. I mean, he could get anybody in this business to work for him. And I'm telling you, we wasn't making thousands of dollars. But it was because of Jerry and who he was. And the first time I went to Philadelphia to do his station, because he was playing our music, I was so happy to meet him because during that time, nobody was playing black music, nobody but Jerry. And to have the fortitude to be able to play black music, when a lot of people like yourselves were listening to that music, you didn't know whether they were black or white. It was just great music. And Jerry got you to love that music. And that's why a lot of black entertainers were so happy to do for Jerry that nobody else was doing for us. And that was my first gift of the year. My first job of the year was to do the Kimball Center with Jerry. Because even after everything was all over and said for Christmas is past and we've done all our shows, Jerry would call, well, my show is on the 21st. I know you're going to be there. I said, yeah, Jerry, I have that spot for you in January. Most entertainers don't do anything after January the 1st. And Jerry's show was the 20-something of January. Why? Why that part of the year? Because he knew we would show up. And we did. And there is a couple on this ship, and I won't call their names because I don't want to embarrass them, that I did a show a few years ago in Canada. And these people were so beautiful and so nice to me and my husband and all of my group that we went to Canada and we did this show. And these two people alone sold out our show because of the love of the music, and they wanted people to know who Darlene Love was. And I thought about them, and their room is not too far from where mine is. And they always have these wonderful pictures up on their walls, you know, where you could go and just watch these pictures, look at these pictures that are on their doorway from the top all the way down to the bottom. And I went by their room the other day, and there's nothing but pictures of Jerry. And I went, and now that's when I really felt the love that people and the wonderful people that is on this tour feel about him. I mean, everybody has pictures up of when they did this and then when they did that. But I mean, the whole door is covered just with pictures of all the years they've been on this cruise. All these pictures are up on the wall. And I feel like everybody here feels that way about Jerry. But I ain't going through all my pictures and pulling out a whole lot of pictures, putting on my door. That would take me a couple of months, right? Anyway, I'm so grateful that I'm here, and Jerry's spirit is here and will always be here. And thanks to you, Alan, I have a vacation in the middle of the year. I come and do the Malt Shop Cruise.
I do want to say that one of the reasons Jerry was able to play that music, Jerry was on radio, and radio dictated what music disc jockeys could play. the owners or the general manager would approve and tell them, here's your 40 songs you can play from this list. Jerry didn't like that. Jerry bought his radio time and sold his advertising. So he guaranteed the radio station enough money that they didn't need to run it and sell their own advertising. Jerry bought the 4 hours or 3 hours. He sold the advertising, like to Gary Barbera when he used to drive the Gator Mobile around the city. He bought the time, sold the advertising, so Jerry could play the music that Jerry thought his customers and his fans needed and wanted to hear. So he could choose what you would listen to. That's why he broke so many records and he grew so friendly with so many artists, because he championed the records and he was allowed to, because it was his 4 hours.
Yeah.
One other thing I want to say about Jerry, which many of you might know, all of us, Jerry was a connoisseur of wine. And Jerry lived his life as a host. And when we started doing this, Jerry, my wife and I would go out to dinner with Jerry many times, and we'd talk about our plans. And Jerry knew I drank red, and my wife drank white, and he'd always call me, hey, we're meeting so-and-so. I got one for Joanne, I got one for you. All the time it was his wines. And we could go to the fanciest restaurants in Philly where nobody could bring their own wine in. Jerry brought his own wine in, and nobody said a word about it. Mr. Blavat sure opened it. And what we had to do, because you can't bring your own wine on this boat, Jerry had to ship it to Tim at Cruise Productions, and we smuggled it on with the equipment.
No, we didn't. No, we didn't.
Yeah, and then, and every time I would go to the Pinnacle to
No, we
eat,
didn't.
there'd be 2 bottles of wine on the table. And wherever you went, and that was Jerry's way of being Jerry, of being the host, of being somebody so gracious to try to make your time as enjoyable as it. And the greatest thing that Jerry did is when you were sitting at the table, if you turned your head, he filled your glass. And I remember one night that my wife, Joanne, reminded me of the other night. We were out there with Avalon on this cruise, and Frankie had said before, he goes, no, I'm not drinking a lot. I'm cutting down a little bit. And every time he turned his head, Jerry hit it. And Jerry kept saying, he'll never know. Frankie must have went through 2.5 bottles of wine. Jerry kept, don't worry, don't tell him. And he kept, and that was Jerry. He just wanted to be a
don't
host.
forget about the spaghetti.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, that's
and he would ship pasta to everybody.
Macaroni.
He would tell me, I'm shipping macaroni to Valley. Anka's getting some of my macaroni. Darlene, every Christmas, cheesecake and macaroni he would send to everybody. It was his way of being that host and trying to make every moment that you thought of him put a smile on your face. And to sum up with what Darlene said, he never left a room where the people weren't happier when he left than when he walked in.
Yeah, I gotta say
You'll be here all day telling these stories.
Let's do it.
I was complicit in the contraband because
Here we go. See what you started?
everybody knows I do enjoy the red wine. Yes.
Yes,
Anyway,
you
Jerry called me and says, why are you always taking 2 bottles? You put in your bag, get in the bag. All you got to do is ship it. I said, man, I ain't going to do, no, you ain't supposed to do that. He said, don't worry about it. I'll take care of everything.
Those are Jerry's words, right there.
I'll take care of it. And I used to get these bottles, 6 or 8 bottles in the box. And me and Frankie Avalon, some people didn't know where we were during the afternoons.
You didn't know where you were in the afternoon.
No one knew where we were. I know you were looking for us. Wait a minute, they got to be on time. They got to. We would be in Jerry's room, in his cabin. And
One thing I miss, and I know you miss, and everybody misses this. It's in the book.
It's in the book.
It's in the
I
book.
miss hearing it's in the book.
It's in the book.
In the book.
There's one more I want to say. People from Philadelphia will know this. Jerry was a very, very popular, well-known individual in Philly with a tremendous amount of friends.
Oh.
From every background you could ever imagine, and I say every. He would have a Christmas party the Monday before Christmas, and it was a men's Christmas party. And I remember after I got to know him well through these cruises, whatever, he invited me, and it was like, I got to go to this Christmas party, I'll go. I walked in, and he introduced me to the head of Wills Eye Hospital, guy who ran the Jefferson Orthopedic Program, a councilman,
The
2
mayor.
judges, 3 lawyers, and this guy in a gray sweatsuit who got out yesterday from 17 years for attempted murder. This guy with chains around his neck, he was away for 32 years for armed robbery. And that was you didn't know who you were sitting next to was the table, but they were all Jerry's friends, and we got together once a year, and the warmth in the room because it was Jerry's party was just unbelievable. I was a little worried with the guy with the gray sweatsuit next to me, but other than that, it was a great evening.
On my second malt shop ever, I had an experience that I'll never forget as long as I live. I was walking through the Lido restaurant, and if you've done enough of these cruises, which I know almost all of you have, you know the scene I'm about to explain because it took place all the time. This was not a one-time event. In the back corner of the Lido, kind of in a just not even hidden, but just in a walk where you couldn't just walk up to it. You had to walk around to get to this table. Yeah, it was Avalon, it was Rydell, it was Stewie Stone, and it was I know we've lost a few, and Jerry sitting back there, and there was no less than 15 bottles of wine on this table. And he sees me walking out, and it's only my second year. I'm still very, hey, Mr. Blavat, hey, and he's like, come, Jace, come here, Jace. And I felt like a 6-year-old sitting at the grown-up table at Thanksgiving for the first time. The first time you get to the adult table and you hear the stories that the adults tell that's not at the kids' table. And I sat there open-mouthed for 2 hours. I'm sure I missed an event. Sorry, Alan. Listening to just stories from these gentlemen. And it was in a different language half the time. And I don't mean like a real language. To Anthony's point, it was, the thing and the beep and the boop and the bop and the deep and the boop and yeah. And they're all just going on, and I just sat there open-mouthed. And I will never forget for the rest of my life just sitting there listening to these men talk about everything from organized crime to the guy in the gray sweatsuit.
Yeah.
To the mayor.
We used to do that thing with me and Bobby because he's like Philly guy, Brooklyn guy, New York, Jersey guy, same people.
Same idea.
So it was a running thing we would do, and Jerry wanted to make sure we do it. And we would come and say, ladies and gentlemen, Bobby right now. So how you doing? No, how you doing?
How you doing?
No, how you doing?
You got the thing? You got the thing?
And then the whole about 5 minutes of that, the audience is going, what the heck is going on? But it was just a freedom, and I enjoy it. That's why I don't sincerely, personally, don't like that. I don't want to overshadow and talk a lot because I like to talk, so that's easy for me. But I've been on a lot of cruises and a lot of stuff like that. And I've been telling Mr. Rubin that I look forward to being on the air.
Yeah.
Because really, it isn't a cruise per se. Because there's a lot of artists, and knowing our business, we know a lot of artists are like Greta Garbo. I want to be alone, to be bothered. Well, that's not in my nature. I'm always all around the ship, and so this what made this ship and the whole. I call it a time life cruise, but you people change all the time. I don't, but I look forward to it. My wife looks forward to it. She loves it. This is not work for me.
So does that mean I don't have to pay you?
And Darlene says it. We talk, no, we talked about it. Says, gee, this is a vacation. We're having fun. We're relaxing. And sometimes we come out and I'll be coming out in the show saying, you gotta pick it up, dude. You're really dragging.
You're sandbagging.
Yeah. And so I always look forward to it. Because of the people and you guys, I walk through the ship, and it isn't like I know a lot of y'all, because you do the ship every year. So we talk, and people come up to me, can I have your autograph? I'd be in the middle of a lasagna or something, and so my instinct is to, your instinct is that, look, I'm eating here, and I would say stuff that I learned, and I would make a whole joke about it. I would just say, do you see me eating here? You come in here and ask me autograph. Are you crazy? Give me that paper right now. God, and I would do this a lot. I see so no, I actually do enjoy it. So don't ever feel like you're intruding on me. You're not. All you're doing is for any comedian will tell you, you're set up. You're setting me up to do something with you. So thank you.
Anthony just reminded me of something. I was at the dinner with Jerry at the Palm in Philadelphia, and there were two people sitting at the bar. And Jerry walked over and said hello and picked up their check. And I used to get mad at Jerry because he used to walk into a restaurant and he would drop a $100 bill. And he would pick it up and he'd say to the waiter, I think you dropped this. And he picked up this check. And I said, Jerry, what the hell are you picking up? You don't know them? He said, you'll never know who's going to be on your jury.
We
So true. So true.
we all went out to dinner that one night. All of Star Vista came to Philly for a big dinner, and I'm not going to say which executive producer it was, but one of them parked illegally and got a parking ticket as we walk into dinner, and Jerry gets there just not late, just a couple minutes. I'm sure he was in the back in the kitchen doing something. He's in the kitchen of every restaurant that's not his, for the record. And he walked out, and this certain executive producer's like, just kind of talking about, I got this ticket. And Jerry, just in classic, almost wise, give it here. Give it here. Forget about it. Forget about it. He's like, no. Never. He's like, I can't. What are you talking about? It's a parking ticket. I don't want, this is going to, I got it. I got it. Didn't he turn around and he called the police chief? Like, on his, hey, I got a thing, and I need it. Yeah, thank you. Click. Forget about it. And that was it. It was literally a 10-second phone call. That was his level of connection to things. You didn't even, it's not, no offense, it's not just the artists, like to Alan's point. It's mayors and Congress folks. And, it's people that are just, it's insane.
I'm reminded, when I said to Jason originally, don't let me talk much, let the artists talk, but this is making me remember with Jerry. I started in record business, and I was in the black record business in Philadelphia. And I was a young Jewish kid in Philadelphia who wasn't real popular being in the black record business. They weren't real happy that this white guy was making black records and having success. And I got a couple calls that were very threatening. And to make a long story short, I called some people I knew in New York, and they hooked me up with an important guy in New York who met me on a fire escape in the Brill building and said to me, time's at 12 o'clock, go back to Philly, late train, you'll never hear another word about it. And a famous guy that was very well known. Years later, when I got friendly with Jerry, I told him about this, and I had a couple more experience with this guy, but then I'd heard the guy went away in jail for like 40 years. He was a serious lung problem.
Gray
I was at the
sweatsuit.
Kimmel Center show right before the pandemic, and I always stood backstage and watched it, and Jerry said to me, here's a ticket, you got to go out in the audience. I said, Jerry, I don't go in the audience. Jerry said, go to the audience, here's a ticket. Somebody wants to say hello to you. I go, I sit down, there's this old guy, must be 85, 90 years old, white hair, whatever. He turns to me, he says to me, Rubens, remember me in the fire escape? Jerry wanted to tell you we're still friends. That was Jerry.
Wait, I got another story I got to tell you. Me and my husband didn't really like to go out with Jerry. But it was a command.
Yeah, it wasn't an option.
We had to go.
Yeah.
So we were in New York, and Jerry said, I'm going to be in New York. I want you to go out and have dinner with us. And I went, oh, Lord. I started praying immediately. And anybody that know me, I can get a prayer through. I said, okay, we'll be okay. Jerry's there. So I'm not going to even name y'all the people that were there. But we all knew them, right? So we're sitting there having dinner, and all of a sudden, this guy jumps up and pulls a gun out of his pocket and just puts it on the table. Well, I froze. I don't like guns. I'm not around them because I almost killed somebody years ago. Read the book.
It's in the book.
And so we're sitting there, but I felt okay because Jerry was there, and Jerry invited him there, so we all cool. Jerry said, man, will you put that gun back up and stop being stupid? And I ain't going to even tell y'all who it was. But I was so relieved that I was in the presence of Jerry, because I knew we were all going to be okay. That's one of my stories about Jerry.
And Carolyn, I don't want to have you being overshadowed. You worked with Jerry for 20 years. Tell us a little bit about what you guys did together.
Well, there was no saying no to Jerry, I'll tell you, because
Yeah.
we had dinner one night a few years ago, and he called me the next morning, and he said, I had a great idea. We're going to shoot the Kimmel Center concert. And he got me so enthused. I went, yeah, it'll be great. And I get off the phone, I turn to my husband, and I go, I've never shot a live concert before. I have no idea how to do it. But Jerry said I could do it, so I did it.
Yeah.
And it's like coming here. We were talking, and I said, I don't know what I'm going to do next. He goes, you're going to come on the cruise with me. I said, don't you think you should discuss it with, somebody else maybe? He goes, no, just show up. And that was, I used to listen to him when I was 8 years old. So when I did the Wildwood documentary, I said, I got to meet this guy. And by the end of the night, we were like best friends. I mean, he was just an amazing person.
He really had a way with people. And Alan and I actually have talked about this before, and we had a brief conversation about it last night at dinner, if you don't mind if I somewhat share it. And I think you three, by all means, will echo and understand this. Jerry didn't want, and I'm going to bring us back down a tiny bit. One of the reasons that Jerry was starting to become a little, last year, many of us saw that Jerry wasn't necessarily all the way normal. He wasn't the Jerry that we know and love. And I don't think, it's hard to express how much, as much as we kind of saw it, it destroyed him to not feel like he was Jerry Blavat, if that makes sense. He could not stand even the concept, the idea of not giving who he was to us, to you, and to all of us up here. And he made a point of saying that to me multiple times. And I know, Alan, you've had many conversations with him. I mean, you were saying last night, he works 7 days a week still. He was still working 7 days a week. And the minute that starts to go away, Jerry doesn't feel like he's giving what he should, what he wants to, and what you deserve. And when I first started cruising, I didn't know how to take Jerry at first, right? I didn't know how to take it when I first, it feels insincere at first, almost, that my man, pots and then he's moving, and in the hallway, it's, hey, pretty lady, down the hallway, right? And there's a piece of you that's like, is this just a shtick? Is this just what he's doing to make other people feel good? And then as you get to know him year by year by year, you recognize that man cared more than anybody. He cared so much, and he loved so many people. And it really, truly was, he wasn't always great with names, but he knew you, right? He knew who you were, and that's where my man and pretty lady came from. My man. Is like, I have no clue what your name is, but I've seen my man, And I grew to love that so much about him, and that was something that I learned, from him, even starting here almost 10 years ago, was I thought it was insincere at first. And I even had guests come up to me and go, is Jerry for real? Like, what is this?
Right.
And it was real. It was always real. It was real when it was quiet time. It was real when it was on stage. It was real in the hallways. It was real all the time.
I got a call from Jerry. Was on the cruise last year. As Jason said, he wasn't himself. And I got a call from him sometime before Thanksgiving, and told me a few things that wasn't really happy to hear. But he said to me, listen, the Kimmel Center, I want to work with you. You're going to take over, and you're going to help me. We're going to plan my tribute show. He wants to plan his own tribute show.
Nothing is more Blavat
make sure
than
it's
that.
done right, and it covers all bases, and he's got the right acts performing. Here's who's going to be on stage. I said, Jerry, I'm not doing this. I said, no, it's got to be done. That was Jerry. He had to be thinking. His mind had to be active. He had to be producing, presenting, and being part of something. Even his own legacy, he couldn't let go and let somebody else do it. He had to be involved.
Just one other thing. From the artist's perspective, what Alan and Jerry created, and for the artist's perspective, is he put us in an environment to see 2,000 smiling, happy people, 7 days, 24. Do you know how that makes us feel? That you created that. And I often say we're as happy as you are. We're happy you're here. We're happy that we're here. But you created that environment. I mean, you forget about putting on the CNN or your cell phone. We're just here to smile, be happy, enjoy the music, and you made this happen, and we thank you, man.
As I said before, I'm Jewish, so does that mean I don't have to pay you?
Any, please, Carolyn, you have anything you want to add?
Oh, no.
Any last thoughts? We do have one last person who chimed in, but I want to offer it back to you guys for any last thoughts before we.
It's amazing because everything we've all said, we're all saying the same thing. No matter we're telling the stories or whatever.
Yes.
It's the one thing about the Kimball Center this year was that you knew Jerry wasn't there.
Yeah.
I mean, because everything didn't go right when it was supposed to happen. This was supposed to happen, and that when Jerry was there, everything happened. This is gonna be at 10 o'clock. This is gonna be at 10 o'clock. 5 o'clock. 5 o'clock. And that spirit is so missed. If I miss anything, it's like his organization. And how can anybody be organized as crazy as he was? I mean, we'd be sitting down having dinner. I mean, we sit down to have dinner, and before we could even have the first bite, he said, okay, I gotta go, so it's on stage.
Yep.
He was everywhere. Where I have no idea how he did it. And everybody knew him and loved him. That is the thing about his spirit will always be missed. I don't care who takes over, when we're gone or whatever, that's going to be missed. And I think it's so wonderful this theater was named after him.
Yeah, we could be here a long time discussing who he was, but like the amazing thing, who Jerry was exactly who he was. There was no pretension in the guy.
No.
And he used to really, I used to wonder too sometimes when I'm, oh, come on, Jerry. He's always on,
Yeah. The little legs always going.
Knock on the door because we always stay in the same level.
Yeah.
Hey, man, we're coming over. I got the wine, I got the boxes, I got the. And I used to wonder how you do that. And if anybody knows, if you ever go to the gym, he would be there every single.
We contemplated renaming the gym, not the theater.
Yeah. He's all over this ship, and it's a mark of who he is. And one of the things I told my wife, I said, Linda, this is going to be a little bit harder for me this time. Because how do I deal with this? Because I came on like, and then something said, no, that ain't him. He don't want you,
Yeah.
Just let's have some fun. And that's what he did, and there was no put on. He lived his life every single day as if it was his last.
Get on
Yeah.
with the living.
Oh, my last conversation with Jerry last year, and I said something, and it made him very emotional. I said, you're blessed.
Yeah.
You make people happy.
Yeah.
There can't be a better job than making people happy. And you're blessed, and you're able to do this for all these years. And I think he became very emotional when I said that.
He was.
He was very soft, wasn't he?
He was.
He didn't. He was a softie, man. He can cry like that.
Just
And,
one-
I'll never forget that conversation.
I have to say this, I could just feel it inside. I'm a man of faith, and Jerry was too. We talked a lot about how he felt. And he knew that there was a God, and he knew that that's what was who he was. So we talked that way, and our relationship became very deep in that respect.
Yeah.
So, like I said, I love to you people because a lot of it is because Jerry instilled in you something that makes you want to come back every year, and it's really him. More than all of us. We really were the background. He was the headliner.
I want to add maybe one, since we're getting ready to close. Jerry was always particular about all the details, as Darlene said, and whatever. And when he was laid to rest at the church in Philadelphia, he wanted a 45 laid on his stomach.
That's right.
And he predicted the song, I'll Be Around, by the Spinners.
Yes.
That's what he wanted, and Jerry is around.
That's right.
Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome. Carolyn, any last words for us, my dear?
There's only one Jerry. I mean, if it wasn't for him, I wouldn't be here today. If it wasn't for him, my career would be entirely different. I just love him, and I'm glad to see so many people out here love him too. And that's all. Just thank you for letting me do this today.
Yeah, we're glad to have you. And And before we go away, we love this panel right here, but we did have one other person that wanted to be on the cruise, but for various reasons couldn't be. And he chimed in, and he sent us a little video, I think. RC, do we have that by chance? I hope we have it.
Hey, you guys, I wish I was there. I love the Malt Shop Cruises. Love you guys, miss you. But I really do miss Jerry Blavat, a dear friend. Every time he walked into the room was better off for it, you know? The one thing we talk about up in the cabana a lot is that relationships never end. Love you guys. Stay well, and may God bless you all the days of your life.
In honor of the great Jerry Blavat, please help me thank these four fantastic individuals over here. Ms. Darlene Love, Mr. Little Anthony, Mr. Jay Siegel, Mr. Alan Rubens, and of course, our producer, Ms. Carolyn Travis. Thank you so much, everybody.